जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था।
जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था।
मुर्दा बुतों से जान, मुर्दा बुतों से जान छुड़ाते तो खूब था।
Assalamu alaikum. Right, I think we shall begin. Can I please ask Sishan Nasir to do the tilawat and translation, please?
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. The verses that have been recited before you are from Surah Ali Imran, verse 105. The translation is as follows: And let there be among you a body of men who should invite to goodness and enjoin equity and forbid evil, and it is they who shall prosper. Jazakallah.
Right, so today we will cover the life and achievements of Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, anhu, the second Khalifa of Islam. This, of course, is because this Saturday is Musleh Day, and so therefore we thought it'd be appropriate to do today's talk on this. And as usual, afterwards, we will give an opportunity for anyone to give any comments, any questions, and so on and so forth. Right, so here we see a picture, and this picture shows a young Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, who is sitting next to his father. He's on the right, as we've circled here. So the period of the Caliphate was from March the 14th, 1914 to November the 8th, 1965. And that amazingly was for 52 years, a very long time for the Khalifa. And of course, during that period, he achieved many great things. So again, here is a picture of the children of the Promised Messiah, alayhi salam. And of course, he became the second Khalifa. And this was also a famous prophecy that he was the promised son of the promised Messiah, whose birth was foretold by God Almighty. As a result of that grand prophecy regarding Musleh Maud, he was born on January the 12th, 1889. So the same year that the Jamaat was founded, he was also born. Now, this particular prophecy of Musleh Maud was published on the 20th of February in 1886, in which Allah gave him, the Prophet Messiah, the glad tidings of a birth of a pure son within a period of 9 years. So this is important to understand, that there was a period of 9 years. And of course, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad was born 3 years later. Although there was a son who was born before him, who died, unfortunately, but it was a period of 9 years, and he fulfilled that. It was within that period of 9 years. So the prophecy says that he would be extremely intelligent and highly learned, and his fame would spread to the ends of the earth, and nations would be blessed through him. Now, the young Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad got his primary education in a school in Qadian itself, and then went to the Taligh Islam school. But mainly due to problems that he faced with his eyes and other illnesses, he didn't do very well at all at school. And so he didn't really take exams and didn't study as was expected. So the fact was that the prophecy was he was going to be very intelligent, but this did not come from the school, it came from Allah. One of the things was, of course, that he learnt the translation of the Holy Quran and Hadith from the first Khalifa, Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin, anhu. And then he began an independent study of religion, history, literature, and various other subjects, and developed into a great scholar and had mastery over many major subjects. In October 1903, at a very young age, he married Sayyidah Mahmuda Begum Sahib, who was the mother of Nasir, who became the third Khalifa. He received his first revelation in 1905 when he was only 16 years old. That revelation was, I will place those who follow you above those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. An angel taught him the commentary of Surah Fatiha when he was 18 years of age. From then onward, he was gifted with an unusual knowledge of the commentary of the Holy Quran. Now, part of the prophecy of the Prophet ﷺ regarding Musleh Maud was that he will be extremely intelligent and understanding and will be meek of heart, and he will be filled with circular and spiritual knowledge. So both types of knowledge will be there, circular, worldly, and spiritual. When the Prophet ﷺ passed away, Hazrat Musleh Maud was still only 19 years of old. And on this critical occasion, he stood by the body of his deceased father and made the following pledge. Even if all the people should abandon you, I will stand alone against the whole world, not caring for any opposition or enmity. In 1911, he founded the Anjuman Ansarullah, and in 1912, he performed the pilgrimage to Mecca. And then in 1913, he started the publication of Al-Fazl. So it shows that before becoming the Khalifa, he was heavily involved in all sorts of things. He was elected as the Khalifatul Masih II after the demise of Khalifatul Masih I when he was only 25 years of age. About 2,000 Ahmadis present at that occasion took Bayat at his hand. Now in the picture here, you can also see on the floor the fourth Khalifa, a young fourth Khalifa, near to the side of his father. Now at that time, of course, well, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, some people tried to reduce the Caliphate to just doing weddings and funerals and not really having any authority. The first Khalifa was having none of that and said that if you elect me as Khalifa, then as you treated and obeyed the Promised Messiah, the same was going to be the same in my case. But still, a small but influential group of opponents within the community carried this on, and when the election for the second Khalifa happened, they saw this as an opportunity to get rid of Caliphate or become a Khalifa themselves. But the Ahmadis, they all unanimously voted for Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad to become the second Khalifa. When they saw that their efforts to get rid of the system of Khalifa or become a Khalifa had failed, then this group decided to leave Qadian and move to Lahore. Now they were smart with themselves because they took most of the money, and most of the influential people of the Jamaat was within this group. And so therefore they felt that obviously they would succeed and the Khalifa, the young Khalifa of only 25 years old, would fail. But of course, alhamdulillah, he had Allah on his side. So as it's saying that they felt that the young Khalifa would not survive without their support, and that this system of Caliphate would collapse by itself. But the opposite happened. The followers of the young Khalifa Masih grew rapidly, whereas his opponents was reduced to an insignificant group, the Lahori group. I remember one time when I was in Scotland, I met the leader of the Lahori group of Scotland. And I said, how many people you got in Scotland? He said he was a leader of one. So this was the condition that Ahmadis grew and spread all around the world, whereas the Lahori group, still around, but very small and insignificant. So this shows that the blessings of Caliphate prevailed. It had the full support of Allah. Now here's some pictures. In the first picture, we see the second Khalifa, and on his right is his son, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad, who became the third Khalifa. And in this second picture on the right, again, we see the second Khalifa giving a speech and the fourth Khalifa ducking behind the table there. The second Khalifa was a renowned speaker. He would speak for hours and hours and people wouldn't move. In this third picture, it's Kew Gardens in UK. And here, the second Khalifa, who came to the UK quite a number of times, is walking with Sir Muhammad Safullah Khan. And here is another picture, I think, by the looks of it, looks like maybe in Jamia or one of the buildings anyway in Rabwa, where the second Khalifa is talking to some people. So, his achievements. His period of Caliphate was full of unusually great achievements that demonstrated divine help. So, as I said, throughout his Caliphate of 52 years, there was great demonstrations of divine help. Some of these highlights of achievements are as follows. First of all, he established the Majlis Shura, and this first took place in 1914, where he formulated a worldwide Tabligh plan. So when he just became the Khalifa, he did this. Of course, Shura is a thing mentioned in the Holy Quran. It's about consultation. And of course, we know these days we have it every year in the UK and throughout the world. But he was the one that established it. First time in 1914 to discuss Tabligh, but mainly in 1922, that's when he mainly established the Majlis Shura as a permanent advisory body to the Khalifa. And as you know, it gives an opportunity for anyone to give suggestions to the Khalifa, which he will listen to, change or reject. It's up to him. But it's the main way that we have to guide the Jamaat in a certain direction. In December 1915, he did the first part, commentary of the first part of the Holy Quran was published. And in 1919, he established various departments called Nasarats and Nazarats, which set up to streamline the work of Sadr Anjuman Ahmadiyya. Sadr Anjuman Ahmadiyya, Anjuman is the offices. We know these days, financial secretary, Tabligh secretary, and stuff like that. So this is what he established, made the Jamaat well organized. Jamia Ahmadiyya was again inaugurated in 1928 to train missionaries. So missionaries from all over the world used to come to first in India and then to Pakistan. Now, this particular picture is taken in the 50s, early 50s. I've circled here Sir Muhammad Safullah Khan, who is posing with the second Khalifa. You may recognize some people here, for instance, Wahab Adam, young Wahab Adam. Of course, he studied in Jamia for maybe about 12 years. Next to him is also Usman Chini. Again, he studied for about 12 years. And there were people from Tanzania, Guyana, and all over the world came. His elder brother, Hazrat Mirza Sultan Ahmad, took Bayat at his hands and became the fourth Ahmadi son of the promised Messiah, fulfilling a part of the prophecy regarding Muslim Maud, that he will convert 3 into 4. Now, we're not sure what this part of the prophecy meant, The Prophet Messiah himself wasn't sure. But with the bayat of Hazrat Mirza Sultan Ahmad, it meant that all 4 children of the Prophet Messiah had become Ahmadis. And so this is how we believe it was fulfilled. He wrote a large number of books, including volumes of the Tafsir Kabir, a detailed commentary of the Holy Quran. This, of course, was in Urdu. In English, it's only 5 volumes. It's not as detailed as the Urdu. The first missionary that was sent out actually was sent to the UK in 1913, and many new Ahmadi missions were opened in a number of foreign countries, such as Ceylon, Mauritius in 1915, US of A in the 20s, West African countries from 1921, Indonesia in 1925, Palestine in 1928. The Fazl Mosque was founded on October the 19th, 1924 by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih himself. He came to the UK and laid the foundation stones and gave a talk at the Conference of Religions, as you're seeing a picture there. And it had many missionaries came with him on that tour to not just England, but of Europe. He set up the Tariq al-Jadid in 1934 when there was a great opposition against the Jamaat. This further promoted the missionary work to foreign countries. And so many missionaries was sent out. Now, under this scheme, the Ahmadis were urged to lead a very simple life and to make sacrifices of their time and money for the cause of Islam. In this picture here, as I said, this was actually on the tour of 24. This was Sahibzada Mirza Sharif Ahmad. I don't think he was actually a missionary, but of course he was his brother and one of the sons of the Promised Messiah. But what you also are seeing is here Abdul Rahim Dad. He was a missionary of the UK. Likewise, Chaudhry Fatah Muhammad Sayal. He was the first missionary sent to the UK. And here's another famous figure, Sheikh Yaqub Ali Ifani. Of course, they're all famous, but these are some which you may be aware of. Now, as a result of this scheme, various foreign missionaries were set up in many countries of the world. For instance, in East Africa in 1934, Japan 1935, Burma in 1938, France in 1945. Here's the French mosque, I've been there. Also Spain in 1946, Holland in 1947, Switzerland in 48, West Germany in 49. Here is the Switzerland's mosque. And then Denmark in 1956 and many other mosques. This Denmark mosque, I've been there as well. It's a very funny looking mosque, but mashallah, it's a sort of circular sort of mosque. The rapidly growing community was divided into different age groups to ensure better training of all Jamaat members, like the Lajna Imamah in 1922, then there was the Qadam in 1938, the Nasrat in 39, the Ansar in 1940, the Atfal in 1940 as well. In January 1944, he claimed to be the promised son, Musleh Maud, for the very first time. Now, many people knew that he was Musleh Maud, but until he was told by Allah, he kept quiet. He never said that he was Musleh Maud, although people wanted him to say. And finally, in 1948, he made that claim based on revelations that he received and dreams. Again, here's some pictures of him having a picnic, again with Safuddin Khan. This is an early picture of Rabwa, which of course was established in 47. And initially you can see there was no trees or anything like this. It was just all sand and they put marquees up. And again, I think this looks like the UK. I'm not exactly sure, but possibly UK. In 1947, Hazrat Mirza migrated to Pakistan along with the Jamaat members, and he laid the foundation of a new center of Rabwa in 1948. So here's an early picture, and as you can see, It was barren. There was only snakes. There was no fresh water. It was only salty water. Nothing was around at all. But we got this land and he started to establish that. But because they had to leave India, he left 313 Ahmadis, which is called Darvesh, to stay behind and take care of Qadian. In Pakistan, he led the foundation of the Jamaat Center in Rabwa. As we said, it was a waste, barren piece of land, but now, alhamdulillah, it's been transformed into a model village. In this picture, you can see the famous mountains behind, and many trees. And this is still an old picture, but still it gives you some idea of the complete change about that happened. In 1957, he established the Waqf Jadid, and this was again to expand the missionary work, especially in the rural population of Pakistan, India, Africa. Well, these days, of course, there's many countries, but initially these were the early countries. So you see again a picture of, it looks like teachers in Jamia, and again, early days of Rabwa. On March 10th, 1954, unfortunately, someone tried to kill him when he was just coming up from prayers. He was seriously wounded in his neck. That injury, he came to England many times to take treatment, but it gradually got so worse and worse until finally, of course, he succumbed to it in 1965. So here's again is another picture of Saifullah Khan, and again with some people there. So as I said, in 1965, at the grand age of 77, he died on the 8th of November. He was buried in Bashti Mabara by the side of his mother, Hazrat Mu'minin Sayyidah Nusrat Jahan Begum, who was the wife of the Promised Messiah. Now, I had some quite difficulty in finding out information about this. I might be wrong, but anyway, this is the family of Musleh Maud. His first wife was Sayyidah Rashida Begum, who was known as Nasir, and because obviously his son was Mirza Nasir Ahmad, who became the third Khalifa. There were three children, Nasrat Begum. From her, of course, she was the mother of the fifth Khalifa, the present Khalifa, and obviously Mirza Mubarak Ahmad also there. And then, there was many children from them. Dr. Mirza Munawar, Atal Aziz, Mirza Hafiz Ahmad, Mirza Anwar Ahmad, Mirza Zuhur Ahmad, and Mirza Rafiq Ahmad. Some of them died in childhood. I think about 4 of them died in infancy. But the renowned ones I'm trying to show. Then at the request of the first Khalifa, he wanted to be in the family of the Promised Messiah. So he asked the second Khalifa to marry his daughter, Hazrat Amtul Hay. And from them, they had Amtul Qayyum, who married M.M. Ahmad. Many of you may know that. He was a famous, I think he was the first financial secretary of Pakistan. But he went to America. He was a very famous person in America. Also from that marriage came Amtul Rashid and Mirza Khalil Ahmad. He then married Hazrat Sayyidah Maryam, who became the mother of Tahir. Obviously, he was the fourth Khalifa. And also they had Amtul Hakim and Amtul Basit and Amtul Jamil. He then married Hazrat Appa Sara Begum Sahiba, and from that union came Mirza Rafi Ahmad. Many of you may know about Rafi Ahmad. He is well-known within the Jamaat, so I'm not going to speak too much about him. But Amtul Nasir Begum and a close friend of mine, Mirza Hanif Ahmad, was also from this union. And then he married Hazrat Aziza Begum. I couldn't find out when she passed away. But again, many of you I'm sure knows about Mirza Wasim Ahmad. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that I believe all of his sons went to Jamia. He sent them all to Jamia. They all served, of course, as much as they could within the Jamaat. Also from that union came Mirza Naim Ahmed. And then there was Hazrat Sayyidah Maryam Siddiqa Sahiba. And from there came my principal at Jamia, one of my principals. Amtul Mateen was the wife, the daughter, and she married Mirza Mahmud Nasser. His son is one of the bodyguards now, looking after Hazur. And then finally, he married Hazrat Sayyidah Bushra Begum. Now, of course, you can only marry 4 women in Islam, but sadly, some of the wives died, so he only married 4 women at any one time. But he had, as you've seen, many wives and many, many children. Concerning the books, of course, he wrote many, many books. The Tafsir Kabir I've talked about. This is the picture of the 5-volume in English. Tafsir Zakir, this is a book in English of the 1 volume. The study of the Holy Quran, in which Life of Muhammad, which I'm doing, come from, and also the characteristics of the Quranic teachings was also another book from there. Another book which is well known was The New World Order. Another good book, Ahmadiyyat or True Islam. I hope many of the listeners have read these books. Invitation to Ahmadiyyat is another excellent book. And then, of course, The Economic System of Islam and The Way of Seekers. He wrote many, many books. These are just some books that he wrote. Right, okay, so that's the end of my talk. And now we'll open it up for any questions, any comments, any memories anybody's got, or anything they would like, please. Now it's your chance to speak.
Rabbi, we don't have any question in chat.
Right, anybody wants to say anything? So I've tried to show the family of the Muslim out. I had difficulties. It wasn't easy getting that information. I don't know why. I expected it to be quite good because, like I say, his children are quite famous. I hope that was right, but I apologize if I made any mistakes. So, did anybody ever meet the second Khalifa? Of course, it was before my time. Maybe you got some experience of meeting him, or anything you'd like to mention?
Assalamu alaikum, Rabbi Sahib.
Welcome, Assalam. Yes.
Mashood here from Burton Jamaat. I have one question. On one of your slides, you mentioned he will turn 3 into 4. So I was just wondering in my mind what that actually means. Is it related to Tabligh, or is it a metaphor, or what do we take the meaning of that phrase as?
Well, as I explained, I mean, the Prophet himself did not explain it. He said unsure. What does it mean? So we obviously don't know for certain, but generally it's felt that in his time he converted Sultan Hazrat Mirza Sultan Ahmed, one of the sons of the Prophet Messiah. That made the 4 sons of the Prophet Messiah to become Ahmadis. You know, in the beginning, his first wife, he had 2 children from, and they opposed him in the beginning. So they didn't become Ahmadis. Finally, one did become, and then finally, I'd say Sultan Sahib came. So it's felt that maybe this is the prophecy. Of course, he had many more sons, but they died at a young age. So 4 living to a good age were there. And so it's generally felt that this could be it, that 3 then became 4. But Allah knows best what is the actual meaning of it, because, like I say, the Prophet himself did not explain too clearly, so we don't know for sure.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Sahib.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Sahib, we have one comment and one question in chat.
Right,
Comment is, in fact, I will second that comment. Jazakallah for the presentation and all the pictures. It really made it interesting. So,
yeah, I mean, I tried to bring as many different pictures as possible, obviously limited in space, but like I said, they're quite interesting, and tried to explain some of the pictures a bit So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I say, it makes it a bit more interesting. It's like I say, with this virtual talks that we do, I always try to bring in pictures and make it as interesting as possible for the listeners. So what was the question? You said there was another question as well?
Yes, the question is about his book. Of his written books, which would you recommend to read, particularly for English readers?
The main book that I give out of his is Life of Muhammad. I like that version, especially towards the end. It gives different aspects of the Holy Prophet's life. And, many people, they ask for a Holy Quran. But normally I say, look, don't have the Holy Quran. You can have it. You can look at the references, but it's better if you read about the life of the Holy Prophet, and then you can understand more of the Islamic teachings. So normally the first book that I will give someone is the Life of Muhammad, and that particular version of the second Caliphs, I feel, is one of the best. It's easy to read, and of course very enjoyable. Um, Invitation to Ahmadiyyat, again, a bit later on, I would give that book as well. It's very good. I remember my wife, that was one of the first books she read, and her friend, when her friend found out that she was an Ahmadi Muslim, or looking into Ahmadi, I think she may have become an Ahmadi or looking into it, I'm not sure at that stage. But anyway, he wanted to expose Ahmadiyyat. And so he told his friends that, look, listen to me. And so my wife didn't know, but he started bombarding her with questions. Now, because she just read this book, Invitation to Ahmadiyyat, she answered all the questions, so much so that her friend started laughing. And when she asked her friend that, why are you laughing? Her friend then told her that you don't know a reason, but he was trying to prove that you were on the wrong path. And what you've done is prove that he's on the wrong path. He knows nothing and you know everything. So it is an excellent book. Another one that I mentioned there, Ahmadiyya or True Islam, again, is a very good book. I'm not sure if that's available much nowadays. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But certainly, Invitation Ahmadiyya and Life of Muhammad, I think if you're doing Tabligh, these are the two best books to give in the beginning.
Jazakallah, Mravisa. Mravisa, we have another question in chat.
Yes.
This is with regards to the health problem Hazrat Musleh Maud has. So the question is, I have read about Hazrat Musleh Maud Rahimahullah had a few health problems, some with his eyes. Are you able to expand, and perhaps this can put into perspective his achievements despite of his health issues?
Well, as I said at the beginning, in his very young age, especially with his eyes, he couldn't hardly see much. And so he really struggled at school and he failed his exams. He was really struggling. It wasn't just his eyes, he had other health issues as well. He was quite weak in the early days. And it's remarkable when you bear that in mind that he hardly had any education growing up. It was Allah that gifted him this knowledge. This was a prophecy saying that he's going to be very intelligent and obviously he's going to spread that knowledge all around the world. And when you look at his books and what he's written, it's amazing. And obviously to write such books and things like this. Now, of course, the later on when he had the attack, again, that proved very weak. But again, we need to bear in mind that for many years after that, he still continued. He didn't stop his work despite this ill health. And it's the same even with the Promised Messiah. Throughout the Promised Messiah life, he suffered from ill health. He was not a healthy person, and yet he wrote over 80 books and he continued to work. So this is the thing, that even though they may be suffering from ill health, Allah gives them inner strength. And it's that inner strength that they are able to achieve so much. And of course, like I say, with the second Khalifa Muslim Maud, the organization of the Jamaat is what we see today. We're very fortunate. We see how well organized it is. Like I say, the Shura. I mean, I used to enjoy going to the international shores. Maybe people might not know about that, but the UK shore is very common. And all around the world, we have these shores. But this was due to him. He organized these things. Tariq al-Din, Waqf al-Din, the different sub-organizations all were organized under him. And so he was able to make this Jamaat what it is today. We're benefiting from what he did. And even Rabwa and things like that I say, there was no pure water, it was salt water. And he was guided to a spot and he said, dig there. And at that spot, they found pure water. And so he got sweet water. I remember when I first went to Rabwa, when I washed my clothes, I put them on a hanger and they went all rusty. And I thought, what's happened? And I didn't know it was salt water. But there was only a few taps. In Jamia, there was only one tap where we could have sweet water. Otherwise, if you have a shower or use the hand taps, it was salt water. These were the conditions that they had to go through. We are very fortunate. We don't seem to appreciate all these blessings of our forefathers, the struggles that they went through. Tariq Ajid, what the demands he put on the members at that time. We're greatly benefiting now, but they had to really struggle that time. But these are the things that he did, and he toured all around and met with the top people, and everyone, they appreciated him. They would listen to him, get guidance. And like I say, when he did Jalsa speeches, he would speak for at least 6 hours, and everyone was just enthralled. They just listened and wouldn't move, wouldn't want to miss any part of it. He was a wonderful speaker. So he didn't allow this poor health to affect him. He carried on. Allah gave him the strength, and mashallah, everyone benefited from it. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, Jazakallah, Rabsab. We have 2 comments, so I will read them and then I will, close the question answer because namaz time is also approaching. So I will quickly read the comments. The first comment is, I think Mirza Fazal Ahmed died in the life of promised Messiah ﷺ. Thus, 4 sons were left. 3 were already Ahmadis, and Mirza Sultan Ahmed Sahib joined at the hand of Hazrat Musleh Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. So that makes 3 into 4. And there is another comment with regards to the same thing. There is also the interpretation that there were 3 holy cities in Islam: Qadian, Makkah, and Medina. But Hazrat Musleh Maud built up Rabwa, making it 4. That is what I have heard.
Okay.
So
the
could
Aqsa Mosque, you don't appreciate the Aqsa Mosque? The Holy Prophet Muhammad used to face towards the Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. And generally, we also look at that as a holy site. Of course, these days, it's in the disputed land. But, I mean, when we talk about early Islam, there were 3 major centers. Mecca, of course, Medina, Holy Prophet's Mosque, and Aqsa Mosque. So then if you're including Qadian, I can see where they're coming from, but maybe that's, it could be disputed. So it's one understanding. I would stick more to the 3 children becoming 4, that all 4 did the bat. I think that's more likely, but Allah knows best. Maruf, you want to ask something?
Assalamu alaikum, Sabi Saab.
Welcome, assalam.
Sabi Saab, just a quick question. During the lifetime of Hazrat Musleh Maud, how many jalsas did they used to have every year? It's like now we have a lot of jalsas every year. Hazrat goes to different countries and does different jalsas. During his lifetime, was there just 1 or 2 jalsas every year? Was there more than that?
I think the UK Jalsa, when did that start? I think that started early 60s. I mean, obviously, Qadian Jalsa would continue, and then when Rabwa started, then Rabwa would have it. So there would have been 2 Jalsas there. The country's slow development. I mean, if you take UK, it was established, the first missionary came in 1913. The London Mosque was built in 1924, but it didn't really kickstart until the early 60s. And slowly it developed, and it really expanded when the 4th Khalifa came here and settled here. And then things, of course, worldwide really took off. And the Jalsas there, that also took off mainly around when the fourth Khalifa came from outside Pakistan, and then most of the countries started benefiting. Unfortunately, Pakistan didn't, of course, but most of the other countries did. I don't know. It needs looking into. I think the UK Jalsa initially started in maybe the 60s. I've got a feeling. So maybe that would be just about maybe his time, maybe a bit after. Could be about 55, 65, 66. I'm not sure. So certainly there have been Qadian and there have been Rabwa. Other ones I'm not so sure because, as I said, the countries, whilst the missionaries were there, to have Jalsas and things like that, it was not known so much in those days. So I'm not aware that such Jalsas were happening like they happen now. Now, obviously, like I say, but that's really only really taken off, like I say, since the fourth Khalifa. Although the UK Jalsa was there, that still was quite low number until the fourth Khalifa came, and then it really took off. So I hope that's answered it.
Jazakallah, Sabri Sab, Jazakallah.
Right. Anything else? We're running out of time. We've only got a few more minutes left. So if that's it, so is there anything else? Okay. So as I said, anybody who's got any subject they would like to talk about, please let us know. And we'll try to talk about them, inshallah. Otherwise, I think let's finish now. And please join me in silent prayer. Bismillah. Ameen. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.